Hey buddy, let's do this. I was addicted to pornography for 20 years, from the time I was 10 years old up until my early 30s. My father committed suicide, and one of the last things that he ever told me was that lust and pornography ruined his life. It led him down a very dark path, and while I have healed from those things, I want to share the 5 or 6 things that have completely liberated me from my PMO addiction. And I think if you stick with me until the end, by the end of this, you're going to gain a lot more clarity and you will acquire tools that I believe will liberate you a lot faster than if you didn't have these tools. This is not a nofap channel, so this is going to be one of the last videos that I make on this topic. And this video is going to be meant for you to be able to come back to it at any time to review some of these tools that changed my life. So let's get into it. Now, some of these might seem really simple, but it is the simplicity of these tools that made it so easy for me to make a change. This first one, I don't fully understand how it works, but it is actually the most powerful tool. And I'm going to start with this one. And that is awareness equals liberation. Or rather, continual loving awareness equals eventual liberation. When I was still in the throes of being addicted to PMO, eventually I got so tired of it. I got tired of blacking out and giving into my animalistic lust that this awareness started to creep in. Even while I was in the very act of it, I started to have this awareness that wasn't guilt and it wasn't shame. It was just awareness and presence. And this started to creep in once I started to have a meditation practice. The more I meditated, the more I was able to separate myself between my awareness and the continual chatter in my mind. It started to transfer over into even something like while I was participating in PMO. And I noticed that if I could get to a place where I wouldn't just go unconscious, sometimes I would be in the middle of PMO and then there would be this higher part of myself that would just feel like this is not in alignment with who I am, and I would just stop, literally midway. I don't know entirely how this works, but it works better than anything else. Things like discipline and habits, they're good tools, but discipline never cut it for me, because if I was able to white knuckle and force myself to not participate in PMO, then it would manifest into another vice, whether it would be me scrolling more on dating apps, binge watching TV, playing hours of video games. As simple as this is, awareness equals liberation. Continual loving awareness equals eventual liberation. Even if it takes you 6 months, even if it takes you a year, if you cultivate this awareness, there's something spiritual, like a higher power, that eventually liberates you from these vices. So that's the first one. It's a little bit more on the spiritual side. These next tools are less spiritual, a little bit more logical for you. The second one, watch your algorithms. All of us are on social media. And when I was on Instagram, it was one of the most triggering social media platforms. If you are a male and you sign up for these social media platforms, the first thing that's gonna pop up on the For You page is women in yoga pants, swimsuit models, girls in short shorts doing TikTok dances. It is set up to make you fail, to put you in a lower vibration. Become hyper aware. Bring this awareness to the content that's coming up in your social media. And in most of these social media platforms, you can usually press a button and click not interested. If you do this for 5 minutes a day, eventually your algorithms will change. This is also a fantastic metaphor for the mind, because the more that you feed lust, negativity, fear, anger, whatever it might be, the more it pops up in your mental algorithm. It's like these developers have designed these platforms exactly how the mind works. So you're probably noticing a theme here: awareness. Awareness beats discipline and habit every single time. Whenever I tried to white knuckle and force myself to quit these vices, it just never worked for me. And then the question oftentimes is, how do we increase awareness? Meditation practices, breath work. For some people, plant medicine is amazing because it shows you what's on the other side of this 3D world veil. And once you kind of get a glimpse of the spiritual realm, things like meditation make a lot more sense. And that brings me to the next one. stop obsessing over retention. This whole semen retention thing, you have to understand that it is a fantastic tool, just like fasting. Oftentimes I will fast whenever I need to do a season of deep work, whether spiritual or otherwise. During the holidays, it's a lot easier to eat junk food. Sometimes I'll fast for a couple days to just reset. Semen retention is a powerful tool for creativity, and it is a powerful tool to get grounded in who you are as a man. When you can have power over your sexual energy and know that you have the ability to do that, then it becomes a tool like anything else. However, these bodies are meant to release at some point. The biggest distinction to understand is that pornography is your biggest enemy. It's not ejaculation, it's not releasing. But you'll find that you tend to get rid of the addiction to ejaculation if you get rid of pornography. Now, some of you have very high testosterone, and I understand what it's like to have all this sexual energy in your body. Some of you young guys can ejaculate like 5 times in a day and still feel normal. If I did that as a 37-year-old, I would be in a coma. So that brings me to the next portion of this one, and that's let yourself ejaculate if you need to. If it's the middle of the night and you wake up and you have this sexual charge, instead of pulling up a website, allow yourself to be present and choose to ejaculate without any kind of pornography. And if you're honest with yourself, this will probably only take you a couple minutes. Whenever you go down the rabbit hole of pornography, sometimes you can spend hours going down that path, searching for the perfect video, going through all your rituals. Stop viewing ejaculation as something that is negative, because it's really not. The thing that brings that dark, energetic feeling that makes you feel like you're in a lower vibration is pornography itself. There's something about a man watching another man fuck a woman that he thinks is attractive. If you can get rid of that, I promise you will start to improve your mental health. Get rid of the pornography, let yourself ejaculate if the sexual energy gets intense enough, and know that it is okay. You don't have to be in a perpetual state of semen retention. And the next one is focus on building a life you don't want to escape from. At the end of the day, most of you have some kind of deep calling. You can either call it spiritual or just an unconscious knowing that you're not living up to your potential. Some of you have songs or books that need to be written, businesses that you need to start that will make this world a better place. And your subconscious mind is saying, fuck you, I'm tired of this. And it manifests into some kind of vice, whether that's pornography, video games, alcohol. When you're building a life that you do not want to escape from, then it becomes so much easier to make distance between you and the vices, because you won't want to waste your time. You'll want to spend it diligently doing what's in your heart to be created. So focus on building a life you don't want to escape from. Take some time, journal, imagine what your life could be. Create a mental image and avatar of what the highest version of you looks like. What does your physique look like? How do you speak? How do you carry yourself? Do you look people in the eye? Do you hunch your shoulders? Do you stand up straight? You can become that guy. And if you've made it this far in the video, I'd say that it is your destiny to become that guy. The moment that you take the first step in climbing Mount Everest, then you're literally climbing Mount Everest. So focus on building a life you don't want to escape from. Focus on the friends that mean the most to you, your family, who you're becoming. And then when life is imbued with some level of richness, then you'll be able to escape these vices a lot easier. Hey man, very quick break in the video. If ever you are considering joining the Conscious Men community, now would be the time to do it. Price just went from $129 a month to $79 a month, and this is very temporary. Once you're in the community, it's locked in. Every week there are 2 group calls, so you will have plenty of opportunities to have a one-on-one conversation with me. Any topics, any questions, and right now the community is small enough to where every call you're pretty much guaranteed to be able to talk to me. When we're on these calls, I'm just there to serve. I'm there to help the guys that are in the community. There's also over 100 hours of previously recorded Zoom calls that you'll immediately get access to. And there's also a couple of courses in the community. Depending on what you're interested in and what your goals are, there is a body transformation course. It's everything that I've learned in the last 15 years of lifting, health, nutrition. I've basically done all the self-experimentation so you don't have to. It really is the only fitness course that you will ever need. There's also a mini course in there on how how I create my videos. If ever you've watched my YouTube channel and you've wondered how I get that cinematic look in my car chats, I break everything down, I share all the techniques, all the camera gear, how I achieve that crisp look without any team. All of it is just done by myself. As you're probably aware by now, I do offer one-on-one coaching and mentoring, but I get dozens and dozens of forms every week, so I have to turn a lot of guys away. The members in the community get first access whenever slots open up for the one-on-one program. So if that's something that you're considering investing in at some point, I would recommend getting in the community first and then sending me a message. But regardless, you can cancel at any time. So if you just want to jump in there, have a few quick conversations with me, and then cancel, you're more than welcome to. Take advantage of it while the price is this low. The link is in the description. Back to the video. Number 6 is very important. So you want to get to the 90-day mark. That is the most important milestone. And once you get to a 90-day streak, stop counting days. Let go of the streak. Once you made it to 90 days, then there's an element of your mind that is nowhere near in bondage the way that it was. At that point, it's your job just to stay vigilant and very prudent, watch your algorithms, and try to deeply remember the version of you when you were addicted to this vice. Because I'm telling you right now, if you make it to 90 days and you see who you are, the version of you that's free from PMO, you won't want to go back. And one note I want to add to that is if you do relapse after 90 days, it's not like all of your progress is ruined. You have to view this vice like a spinning wheel that has been gaining momentum your entire life, and it's going really, really fast. But then as you start to take these steps, that wheel gets slower and slower and slower. And if you're at 90 days, there's a chance that wheel still has a little bit of momentum. And understand that if you relapse, bring conscious awareness to it, just see it for what it is, and immediately get back on the horse as if it never happened. Don't hold any negative charge. Don't hold any guilt or shame. This happened to me a few times once I got to the 90-day mark, and it's like that wheel just had a little bit of momentum. And after a couple more times, couple relapses, I never did it again. And this was years ago. Another really important element that I wish I had learned sooner is that each and every one of us has a primal animalistic side to our sexual nature. Oftentimes we watch these porn scenes and people are going crazy on each other and people say things like, oh, it's just acting, it's not real. Yes, it is acting, but each and every single one of us has a side of that to ourselves. And when in a context of a loving relationship, it's actually awesome. The problem is that most guys, they are in that lustful animalistic state all the time. A woman walks by in yoga pants or short shorts, and then he immediately starts spiraling, almost foaming at the mouth like an animal. That part of you isn't bad per se, but it needs to be tapped into when it's appropriate and not neglected. Because if you start to shame that side of yourself completely, then you could start to form a Jungian shadow. I experienced this especially growing up in a very religious home. There was a lot of sexual guilt, a lot of sexual shame, and I thought this side of me was bad, but I just didn't have control over it. It wasn't integrated in a sense. It's something that I wish I learned much sooner. We are all very deeply sexual beings, and you don't want to fully neglect that more primal sexual side of yourself, but you want to share it in an appropriate context of someone who you actually care about. Otherwise, it becomes like a wildfire instead of a controlled flame. So that's it. I hope that these tips help you. Please share this with someone and come back to this video anytime that you want. This is here as a resource for you. I hope it encourages you and gives you hope. If I could overcome this vice after being addicted to it for 20 years, then I absolutely know that you can too. One final thing, I do offer coaching and mentoring. If that's something you think that you might be able to benefit from, click the link in the description, whether it's help with fitness, spiritual work, dating, or of course, quitting PMO. I take a more holistic approach and I can only take on a couple more clients. Thank you for watching until the end. You are loved, you matter, and you have barely scratched the surface of what you're capable of. I'll talk to you soon.
Nothing here to give us clarity.